Hello, welcome to a new edition of the Right Wing Populist Podcast. I am the Right Wing Populist. So today I want to talk about the New York City mayoral race between Zohran Mamdani, or Mamdani, however you say it, versus Andrew Cuomo. And, Mamdani beat Cuomo in an upset for the Democratic nomination during the Democratic primary. And Cuomo then decided to run as independent. The current mayor, Eric Adams, he tried to run as an independent, later dropped out. He had to run as an independent because he became so unpopular because of his scandal, taking bribes from, I believe, Turkey or some foreign government. Then Trump got into office. He dropped the prosecution, but New Yorkers looked at it as a negative because they don't like the Trump administration in New York City. Trump's not popular there. So the race is between Mamdani as a Democrat and Cuomo as some third party candidate, some third party ticket that no one's heard about, some third party. And the question is, will Mamdani, can he be beaten? Can Zoran be beaten? And there's a lot of Democrats who seem uncomfortable with him. Many Democrats in leadership have refused to explicitly endorse him, including people like Chuck Schumer, among others. The Alyssa Slotkin, who's the Democrat senator from Michigan, she did a big interview with Breaking Points, Crystal Ball, Sagar and Jetty, that YouTube channel. And, she was asked why hasn't she endorsed Zoran, and she didn't really have an answer. Not only so, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat, minority leader in the House, he's refused to endorse Mamdani. And the question is why? Why are Democrats so hesitant to want to endorse this guy? And and the reason is he's pretty radical. He has many views that are very, basically a socialist. I don't think he even hides away from the label. He wants free supermarkets. He wants to tax certain groups, particularly white people. He wants to defund the police. He's a very far left guy. But what I've noticed is people on the right, they don't even seem to be that concerned about the fact that he's like a crazy socialist. What the people on the right seem to be most offended by is his position on Israel. He's Zohran Mamdani is a big critic of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. And according to many people on the right, that's his biggest sin. According to many people just in the establishment, right or left. I mean, that's why many people in Democratic leadership they haven't endorsed him. It's not because they think he's too far left. I mean, that might be a part of it for some, but the real reason is his position on Israel. People think he's too radical on Israel. I mean, there's a popular podcast, I believe it's called The Commentary, that's run by John Podorce. I'm not sure I'd quite say his last name. I could put a link to it in the YouTube version of the podcast. But it's like a podcast that features mostly, Jewish political commentators. And you should see their reaction when Mamdani won the Democrat primary a few months back. They acted like it was the 1940s or the 1930s. Like Mamdani winning was like the equivalent of Hitler gaining power. I mean, it was literally unhinged shit that these people who are like these slightly center-right commentators are acting as if, because Mamdani, he's critical of Israel, but this is the second coming of Hitler, apparently. It's just some unhinged stuff. And a lot of people like that. Mark Halperin, he's like obsessed with trying to find a way to beat Mamdani because of his position on Israel, because Mark Halperin is a Zionist. A lot of people are Zionists, and that's okay. Okay, I love Zionism. And Zionism is great. Actually, I don't like it. I lied. I hate Zionism, but I'm going to pretend that I do. So maybe YouTube won't ban my podcast or Spotify. I love Israel. I love Zionists. Believe me. I don't. But the point is, why is that? Who cares? Why is Israel even an issue? He's running for the mayor of New York. Why does it matter? Okay, the reality is Israel's unpopular, particularly among young people, but more and more even older people. So this idea that you're going to be able to beat Mamdani by saying he's anti-Semitic, not because he holds actually anti-Semitic views, but just because he's critical of Israel and Bibi Netanyahu, that's not how you're going to beat Mamdani. The way you're going to beat Mamdani is just beating down the fact that he's a radical left lunatic who wants, DEI everything, wants only white people to be taxed at certain income rates, who wants free everything. That's the way to beat him. And Cuomo, he doesn't know what the fuck to do. I mean, I think he feels insulted that he's losing to this guy who's never held a job before, a real job before, which I can understand. But he's clueless. Again, and I've seen him be critical of it. Like, he's criticized Mamdani's view on Israel. Why is Israel so important? Who cares? I mean, I've seen other conservatives be like, why are all these Jews in New York City willing to vote for someone so critical of Israel? It's like, because they're American Jews. They're not Israeli Jews. That's probably why they don't care so much, because he's running for the mayor of New York, a U.S. city. Why should they be concerned about his views about a foreign country? That's what I don't understand by people on the right. They want to criticize Mamdani for being so critical of Israel. It's like, why? Who cares? It's not the way to beat him. Israel's unpopular, folks. I hate to break it to you. The way to beat Mamdani is, it's not like other Democrats. If you call them a socialist, it's sort of cringe, because most of the time it's not true. With Mamdani, it's like Bernie. Calling him a socialist, at least that's accurate. It is accurate to call Mamdani a socialist. It's accurate to say that I think it's more accurate to say he holds bigotry towards whites than he does Jews. I mean, if you're for having selective taxes on white people, reparations, I think that's kind of racist. It's a racist policy. It's discriminatory. That's more accurate, but obviously you can't call someone anti-white because that's considered to be okay in today's society. But if you're anti-Jew, that's still bad, I guess. But he's not even anti-Jew. He's anti-Israel. I'm not a big fan of Israel. Does that make me anti-Semitic? I don't think so. What makes me anti-Semitic is the fact that I don't like bagels. I much prefer donuts. Bagels are the gay version of donuts, and everyone knows. But Mamdani, the way to beat him is, again, not to criticize his position on Israel. It's to call him out for being a far left, radical left. And I often don't like that type of rhetoric because I do think it's kind of cringe. But for him, it's true. The reason why I think it's often cringe is because if you say that about, a moderate Democrat like Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, everyone rolls their eyes because obviously that's not true. She's like a moderate Democrat. Same thing with like Alyssa Slotkin. It's like you can't call those people radical left because it's just not true, and people, they dismiss you. But this guy, it's fucking true. He's a crazy left winger, and his position on Israel is not what's problematic. It's his position on literally everything else. And he wants a late term report. This guy's a bad guy. He wants to defund the police. He's not a good guy. And working class people don't care about Israel. The way to beat Mamdani is you're going to have to do really well with working class voters from like Staten Island. You're going to lose younger, the hipster, upper income whites. They're going to vote for Mamdani. So, it's tough. But the question is, I've been seeing people that Trump needs to get involved. So Trump get involved. Should he tell Republicans to vote against Mamdani? I would say no. I think it's actually it's beneficial for Trump and Mamdani wins because then he'd become a foil for Trump. Because the New York City mayor, that's a pretty high, it's a pretty high position. It's one of the most prestigious positions in politics, frankly. I know you don't often think about that when it comes to mayors, but New York City is such a big city and it's such an important city. It's where all the finance happens, Wall Street, all that. It's such an important city. All the arts are there. So if Mamdani becomes the face of the Democratic Party, which he would if he does become the nominee, or he already has to some degree, that's a good foil for Trump because this guy actually is a very far left guy and he can try to hang the Democratic Party as a whole on him. Now, again, you don't want to attack him for being anti-Israel, though, which I've seen Trump done, which is dumb. And don't criticize him for his populist messaging. That's effective. Mamdani's been very clever in how he's ran this campaign. He postures himself as a populist. I think I know a little bit about populism. Don't, just look at my name. And that's very effective. I don't think people, by the way, I'm sorry if you hear some rain coming down. I'm sorry, it's raining hard here. I don't really have much of a podcast studio, so I apologize if you hear the rain. Just had to add that. But this guy he's very smart. He's clever. He hasn't made a lot of mistakes. I'm just saying criticizing him over Israel is not the way to beat him. Calling him anti-Semitic is not the way to beat him. The way to beat him is to call him what he is. He's a far left radical whose ideas may sound good on paper, but they won't work. They'll just make everything even more expensive. I mean, I've seen polling that says people in New York think Mamdani is the most focused on lowering prices. It's like, well, he may be focused on it, but his policies won't accomplish that. They'll probably just lead to more inflation, actually. I mean, not that he can implement a lot of these policies as just being the mayor, but the fact that he even has some of these crazy ideas, it's terrible. So Trump should not get involved. He shouldn't try to booster Cuomo. It wouldn't work anyway. People in New York City don't like Trump. He lost New York City by a huge margin. He improved a bit, but he still lost it by a huge margin. So if people think Trump's backing Cuomo, that only helps Mamdani. So I think the solution is Trump back off. It's up to Cuomo to try to paint him as a far-left radical, and if he wins, he wins. You get what you vote for. But Trump should not get involved. Not explicitly, at least. Because frankly, it's in his long-term interest and the Republican Party's long-term interest if Mamdani becomes the face of the Democratic Party. Again, not because of his position on Israel. His position on Israel, I emphasize, is popular. I don't think Republicans understand this, or a lot of Democrats understand this, but Israel is Israel's not popular. People think Israel's been committing a genocide in Gaza, which I largely agree with. So that's probably the biggest reason why he won the primary, was because people are so sick of Israel. That's the other thing that could help Cuomo, is the fact that Trump got, the ceasefire and this peace deal. That might help some of the more fanatical left-wingers who hate Israel. Maybe some of them don't go out to vote now because they feel like, okay, this isn't as much of an issue anymore. But anyway, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast. I got stuff to do, but I had to talk about this because I've been seeing these people on the right and on the left going after Mamdani on all the wrong things. Don't go after him over Israel. That's popular. Go after him and being this crazy left-wing, radical who, makes fucking Karl Marx look like a conservative. I think that's what you should do. Anyway, sorry for the shorter episode, but I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll cover a couple topics tomorrow, I think. So yeah, please subscribe, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the website. I'll have new articles dropping this week. Thanks for listening, folks. Bye-bye.